contract was introduced in 2004 to codify the terms upon which a salary GP would come into a partnership. But it's generally drafted very much in favour of the employee and not in favour of the employing practice. The BMA model contract was introduced in 2004 to codify the terms of admission of a salary GP into an NHS partnership. It's mandatory for a GMS practice under its GMS contract to employ a salary GP on BMA model terms or their equivalent. So you don't have to adopt the BMA model terms per se, you just have to adopt terms that are equivalent to the BMA model terms. And the key to it is working out what are the key terms in that model contract that you may want to vary, which is where our expertise comes in. So they're mandatory for GMS practices. PMS practices often think they are absolved from employing salary GPs on BMA model terms. PMS practices often think it only applies to GMS practices. In our experience, this is not the case. Certainly the 2015-2016 PMS contract obliges PMS practices to engage salary GPs on BMA model terms or their equivalent. Because PMS contracts were a locally negotiated contract, you'll find that you need to check the terms of your PMS contract, and it often comes as a surprise to our PMS contract clients that they are in fact, whilst they thought they didn't have to employ their salary GPs on BMA model terms, they in fact have a contractual obligation to do so. It's also something to think about if you opt from being a PMS practice back into being a GMS practice. So you opt your contract from PMS to GMS and turn yourself back into a GMS practice, because at that stage there's a question over, are you then obliged, if you weren't a PMS practice that had to offer BMA model terms, are you now obliged to offer them, or are you only obliged to offer them from the date that you opted back into GMS? The only way to be absolutely certain as to whether or not you have to offer BMA model terms or not is to check the terms of your PMS or GMS contract carefully. If you find you're in breach, then please come and see us, because you may well need to update your salary GP contracts. If NHSE become aware of the fact that you are in breach, how they would become aware is often a query, but quite often it can come from the salary GPs themselves. But if they do become aware of the fact that you are not offering BMA model terms when you should be doing so, they can issue you with a remediation notice. It's also a point to think about when you're merging. If you're a GMS practice that merges with a PMS practice, you can end up with a portfolio of salaried staff who are all on different contract terms, which can lead to internal disputes. So in that instance, we'd recommend that you review all your staff contracts, and as part of the business reorganisation, you review those contracts and offer similar terms across the board.